dead salmon, potted shrimp, lobster, elephant's breath and sardine. What do they have in common? They aren't dishes off a menu. No, they're paint. They're some of the beautiful beige and grey and blue tones on offer from Farrow and Ball paint. And some people aren't happy. Not about the colours though, but about the names. And PETA, the animal rights activist group, want Farrow and Ball to change those names. Their senior digital marketing manager, Margarita Sachkova, is with us here on the show today. Margarita, what's your issue with the name of the paint?
Oh, hello, Andrea. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. You know, if I have the opportunity to use language that is kinder and more respectful towards other living beings, why wouldn't we do it? And actually, who would want to be in a living room painted with dead salmon when we can use magic mushroom instead? And did you know that salmon are actually very sensitive animals? It's been scientifically proven that they feel pain, they feel fear when they're taken out of their watery home. So renaming the colors that normalize animal abuse is just a way to remind people that animals are not food. They're individuals and they deserve to be treated with respect and to live their lives free from human harm.
It's just a name, though.
Well, I mean, as a journalist, I'm sure you would agree with me that words have power. And the way we speak about someone, the way we think about someone, it affects the way we act about them. And actually, if certain language promotes cruelty, why should we be using it? And just think about some words and phrases that were considered to be normal just a few decades ago. And now most people wouldn't even dream of saying those things because we know how hurtful they are, how harmful they are. So it's the same about animals. You know, we know so much about them now. We know that actually salmon have personalities, and anyone listening to us who have a cat or a dog at their home would know how playful cats and dogs can be. But do you know that salmons are also actually very playful? They like hanging out with their friends. They are very curious animals, and they can feel pain, they can suffer. So I guess it's time to start phasing out any harmful words that trivialize abuse of salmon, cows, or any other animal.
So you think that by Farrow and Ball paint calling one of their colours, one of their paints, dead salmon, that normalises exploitation of animals?
Well, actually, this idea is not new, and language has always been evolving. And, you know, the fact that, you know, the way we describe someone, the way we describe animals, it can affect our perception of them. It's actually backed up by the Journal of Animal Ethics. And the researchers suggest that we need to move to language that shows mutual respect between humans and animals. And really, you know, another color name that they have is potted shrimp. They can use something different, for example, potted petunia, and it's the same color. And I know their team is so creative, they can come up with so many other fantastic color names, and I'm sure people would love it. And, you know, today there is such a big trend to animal-friendly homeware. People want pineapple leather instead of cow skin on their sofas. People want coconut candles instead of something that's been using bees, and people want throws that are made with plant wool. So by switching to more respectful product names, you know, the company can just be in tune with what consumers want.
So for instance, it's the phrases like the dead salmon and the potted shrimp that you've an issue. So do you have an issue then with elephant's breath? Like I was looking at that today. It's a sort of a beige colour on their colour chart.
You know, I think elephant breath is just fine because, you know, elephants, just like you and me, they're breathing. And it's not about just removing animals. It's about removing phrases that are actually normalizing abusing them. For example, they also have a few names that are linked to dairy, like skimmed milk paint. So why wouldn't they change it to oat milk instead of promoting industry where mother cows are separated from their babies just within a few hours? They can promote something healthy.
It sounds like, so you want to make them vegan friendly then, is that right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We want to make them vegan friendly.
So Farrow and Ball should just have vegan friendly paint names.
Well, I think you know, it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt if we use language that respects animals. It wouldn't hurt if we use language that respects all individuals, and everyone deserves protection from abuse. And we just want to remind everyone that salmon, shrimp, cows, and other animals, they are individuals. So there is no, we don't have to use that salmon name. We don't have to.
Okay, I know. I just wanted to be clear about this. So if, for instance, with some of the paints, there's a beautiful blue colour on their chart called lobster. So you've no issue with that. It's just where it talks about dead salmon or potted shrimp or the skimmed milk. That's what you have the issue with, rather than just calling it after an animal.
Yeah, and lobsters are fantastic animals. The name lobster actually celebrates them. They live up to 100 years and they have fantastic, social connections. Yes, there is nothing wrong with the name lobster. We would absolutely want them to keep it. But names like Dorset cream, why don't they change it to Dorset oat cream? And actually today is World Plant Milk Day, so why not to, what can be a better day to embrace plant milks that are actually better not just for animals, but
I would
also
say
for
most
our
people
health and
just think, Margarita, though, and I have a load of callers looking to chat to us today about this, and I want to talk to people, but I just wanted to kind of chat to you first to get a sense of, what it is that the issue is. But I would imagine, I'm just going to hazard a guess, most people, whether they're vegan or not, or maybe, and I've sort of been kind of vegan for the last month myself, actually, but whether or not people are vegan or vegetarian, do you think they really care if they've skimmed milk coloured paint on their sitting room wall? Or I wonder, does that actually deter people from picking a paint colour?
I mean, we would really want to change the way our society talks and thinks about animals, because it can affect how we treat them. And cows are not milk-producing machines. And it's just so easy for the creative team of Farrow and Ball to come up with something, equally fun and engaging for their consumers. And we need to be careful about the language we use. As I said, language has always been evolving. And when we know so much about animals now, we need to respect them. We need to respect the way we treat them, but we also need to choose language that is respectful towards them.
But you're not saying, though, that the name of the paint is hurtful to the salmon, though? I want to be clear.
Can you say it again?
You don't think that by Farrow and Ball calling one of their colours or shades of paint potted shrimp or dead salmon, you don't contend that that's hurtful to the fish, though?
Well, it is normalising, killing salmon. So if you have a paint called dead fish, in your mind, it's normal to be killing salmon. And actually, there is absolutely no needs to be calling paint this way. And, recently we've also been asking people to stop using any phrases that hurt animals. For example, kill two birds with one stone. Why would we use it when we can say feed two birds with one scone? As a society, we evolve. And
it's not really the same, though, Margarita, is it? It's not really the same. Okay, stay with me if you don't mind, because I want to talk to some other people too about this to get their views. Should Farrow and Ball, I think it's fair to call them a kind of a high-end paint brand, should they change the name of some of their paint colours to make them a little bit more vegan friendly, or not to normalise exploiting animals? Tony is on the line. Tony, is this a good idea?
Absolutely not, Andrea. I must give Margarita full marks for her eloquence, but let's cut to the chase here. 90% of people in the world are not vegan. They're meat eaters. Animal production is ethical and respectful, particularly in Ireland. And we eat animals. That's the reality. So let's just put that to one side. But these pressure groups need the oxygen of publicity. So they come up with these loony stories, grab headlines, and grab them very, very effectively. But the reality is, vegan food kills millions of animals in its food production. Mammals, small birds and vertebrates, that's just the reality. So, face up to the reality. Ireland is one of the greatest food production countries in the world. Our dairy and meat is feeding 50 million people worldwide. And tonight, millions of people will go to bed hungry because of this nonsense. The vegan agenda is financed by multinationals, and I
don't think, Margarita, I don't think it's to do, Margarita. Is that really a vegan agenda, is it, or a publicity stunt?
Well, Sonia, thank you for raising all these points, but actually the society is moving away from consuming meat, and even United Nations are suggesting that we eat less meat. And every day there is a new and new research that showing that animal agriculture is the leading cause one of the leading causes of the climate crisis. So if we want to stay on this planet, we need to decrease our consumption of meat. And actually, it's not great for our health. Eating meat has been linked to heart diseases.
Okay. We'll talk about the eating meat for another day, but I just want to talk specifically about this issue about the paint names. Tony, you don't think Farrow and Ball should change their paint names then?
But that's the flag, you attach it to the flag. Farrow and Ball make brilliant paints. I wish I could afford them. They're fabulous paints. And the names they give them are absolutely descriptive. And why shouldn't they? We live in a free country. I respect Margarita's position, but I would ask her to respect the position of the 90% majority and how people market their products. I don't know Farrow and Ball, but I am not going to tell them what names to call their paint. And I won't tell a vegan what name to call their oat milk or whatever it is, even though it's not very nutritious compared to cow's milk, which is far more nutritious. But this is the argument we get into, and
you don't think you should be told to change the name, really, is it? It's been told to change.
Free country now, Andre. Isn't it great to live in a free country?
Yeah. Well, go on, Margarita. I just want to make a quick point. I just want to bring in a few other people on this.
Yeah, I just wanted to invite everyone also to respect billions of animals who are killed every day for production of meat, for production of dairy, for production of other foods, and actually. If you want more information on vegan nutrition and fantastic recipe, go to PETA.org.uk.
You'll get it there, right. You might as well give the website a promo too. Roisin Murphy's on the line. Roisin's an architect and lecturer in interior architecture in Griffith College. Are Farrow and Ball wrong to call their paint Dead Salmon, Roisin?
Okay, first... I see what they're talking about in the sense that the animals issue, for me, it's a bit antiquated. Regardless of whether you're pro-vegan or anti-vegan or in that space, dead salmon is suggestive of a sort of a flat dead fish. It's very evocative. Farrow and Ball are very powerful because they have marketed geniusly their paint on the basis of names. And Elephant's Breath was probably one of the most important paints for 20 years solidly in interiors. So, and they're very memorable names. So people will go out and they'll go Elephant's Breath,
That's true.
Mole's Breath, so railings. But there is absolutely no reason why they can't remove kind of derogatory names from. Not saying that it's, I think it's an old school kind of way of thinking. They're talking, I can see what they were meant when they meant dead salmon, the colour they're talking about. But it's too evocative actually of the skin of the animal a bit. You're there going, you can see, when you cooked salmon, you know exactly the colour they're talking about. But from my point of view, what it really, I suppose, shows you the power of names in paint, that we are sitting talking about this brand that has so successfully marked itself on the basis of names.
I would say the Farrow and Ball marketing team are absolutely thrilled with Margarita and PETA for the look at the publicity they're getting today. I'd say they're delighted about it. They don't have to do any work.
But what I would say is the most important thing in terms of paint at the moment, and we know this because we have a paint reuse program in Ireland, because it's one of the biggest issues is far more serious than the names of paints is how people dispose of paint at the moment. So you can talk about paint names and everything, but we actually have to get paint from being one of these hazardous waste materials into the paint reuse thing, which we're doing in Ireland, where paint is being brought in, it's being recycled. You can actually get very good, there's a paint reuse network, and that's far more important for the environment and for animals as well, because the less we kind of consume, the less we're taking out of the kind of, out of that space and into the recycling space, the best for animal welfare in general.
In the business that you work in interiors, Roisin, do people go in, look through colour charts, sit down for a consultation with you? The home squad will be with me at 20 to 2 this afternoon. And do people actually say, oh, listen, that's a beautiful colour, but I can't put potted shrimp on my wall?
No, I think this is this is the first time I've heard of this. I do understand it though. I'm a big animal lover, and I inherited a fish. I inherited, I didn't buy it, and I've now got attached to the fish, and there's a big joke about this because I tried to put it into a pond in the back garden because I can't stand looking at the fish in the small tank in the house. So I get it. I get that once you have an animal. Do
you think Margarita and PETA have a point on this then? About the...
I do. I think I think it's a great marketing exercise. I will agree with Tony on that. I think there's far more important points with the issue of what kind of materials we're using in our interiors, and not just about the veganism, the actual thing about the planet, and not just our responsibility to animals per se, but our responsibility to climate action and climate change, which is a far bigger issue really than one single strand. So it's an interesting point of conversation. I would also encourage people to sort of look at the paint colours and figure out in a way like how can one single brand have monopolised paint so well, and call on like Curator and Colour Friend and all these paints to take a little leaf out of the book of Farrow and Ball, which is now owned. It was a very small family-run business. It's not anymore, but it's an opportunity really to get a dialogue about paint going and an excuse.
Mark is on the line. Mark, do you think Farrow and Ball should change the name of some of their paint colours?
No, I don't think it's particularly relevant at all. I think things like this, like stunts like this, I agree with Tony that it's a bit of a marketing stunt to just try to get their name back talked about. But I think stunts like this do more damage to an organisation like PETA than anything else. I think it discredits them when people look at this and they just say, "Are you for real?" Like there's bigger problems, bigger fish to fry, if you don't mind, other than the name of a paint in a paint booklet. I just think there's more important things to be flapping about now than the name of a paint.
That's a fair point, Margarita, is it?
I mean, absolutely. And at PETA, we tackle so many serious issues that are affecting animals. We work hard to get them out of circuses, out of filthy fur farms. We are campaigning to end cruel bullfights, to stop animals from suffering on factory farms. But we do it all. But another thing that we want to do is to change the way that society talks and thinks about animals, because the way we think and talk about them really affects the way we treat them. So it's just one of many other campaigns. Go to peta.org.uk to see all the other things we are doing. But I would really invite anyone listening to us, just think about how they treat animals, how you talk about them.
Okay.
And are you contributing to animal abuse, or are you advocating for animals to be free from human harm?
I get the sense though, Mark, you think this probably turns some people off veganism, does it?
I don't even really see how veganism comes into it. Like, at the end of the day, have you ever walked into a room and known the name of the paint on the wall?
Never.
Like, you might know it's pink. You're not going to go, "Oh, that's that Dead Salmon pink," and then start wondering about the life cycle of the salmon. I just think it's a bit of a stretch and a bit of a, like, you're crying over nothing really, over the name of a paint. Just pick a different paint if you don't like it.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say
If the name is going to put you off a colour. I know. I was going to.
Yeah. I'll give you some of the texts here from listeners. Dead salmon, fair enough, but elephant breath certainly depicts a live animal. And I'm vegan, says this listener. Another texter, granted we live in a truly mad woke world, but please tell me this is a joke. Well done to Farrow and Ball and for getting PETA to promote them. Great publicity for them today. Another texter says, my family name is Butcher. Will I have to change that now? Another texter says, I'm listening into at the moment to Lunchtime Live about changing the name of paint colours. I can die happy knowing that I've now officially heard it all. Bernie Wright from the Alliance for Animal Rights is with us on the line today. Bernie, do you think the Farrow and Ball Paint Company should change the name of some of their paints? Oh, they got Bernie. No, is Bernie not there? We'll try and get Bernie back on the line. Roisin, maybe just on a final point to you on this. You kind of can see both sides of this argument, but you do think that there is some merit in...
Yes, I do think there is merit. I do think it's an important thing to discuss environment, animals and veganism because they're so interlinked with the climate. But I also think, unfortunately, everybody knows the colour elephant's breath, and that is the truth. I mean, they're a very powerful statement about names. So, like Middleton Pink, it's a really famous pink. They do, but that poor fella's wrong. If you walk into somebody's room, they'll go, "That's elephant's breath." Listen, I've had arguments with my friends over paint colours in houses where we'll name it. We know what railings is. We know exactly the
right.
good interior.
Well, I wouldn't have a clue now, to be honest, but I would bow to your knowledge.
And you know that it is obsessive for us. Anybody in the industry,
look, I understand that. Yeah.
And a very powerful thing, if we do want to, it's not a big deal to change a few names. I think Farron Ball, as that guy said, will be delighted. It is a huge thing, but it's a really important thing, I think, that we do discuss without the kind of thing, oh, you're so woke, but that it's okay to become more sensitive to animal rights.
I want to hear all
issue.
Opinions on this show. I'm always happy to hear everybody's view. Marguerite, just finally, are you pleased with the reaction overall since you released your statement about this? Are you surprised?
You know what? I just want to mention that we are not against elephant breath at all. It's a wonderful paint name, and elephants are incredible animals, so we have nothing against this name. It's just like names like skimmed milk or just salmon that should be remained. And I'm really glad that, this ask has started a larger conversation, because there are so many serious issues about how we treat animals. As like one of your callers said, that like fish are actually wonderful, incredible individuals. They feel pain, they feel fear. Why are we treating them this way? Why are we normalizing animal abuse?
Okay.
So our language is just a reflection of how we're behaving.
Listener
and
says
it has to change.
If paint colour names don't matter, why don't we call one of the paints burnt human skin then? Another listener, fair play to Margarita. Unfortunately, general society are a bit behind, but keep up the good fight. Sean in Westport says, I work with paint all of the time, and you would be amazed at how many people pick a name rather than a colour. I've asked people to describe colours, they can't. They just very simply know the name. And how anyone could be offended over what a colour is called, I totally give up, says this texter. Keep them coming into us. 087 1400 106 is the WhatsApp number. Do you think Farrow and Ball should change the name of their paint colours to make them a little bit more vegan friendly?